Enjoying the show? You can help others find it and enjoy it too by giving us a 5-star rating or review. If you feel like reaching out to us with a question or comment, you can send us an email at mywifetherd@gmail.com. And don't forget to visit our website at mywifethedietitian.com, as well as our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy the show. It's Rob and Sandra from My Wife the Dietitian, and this is Nutrition Nuggets.
How does eating more food actually help to lose weight, Rob?
Well, I kind of know that now, but, like 6 months ago, I would have had no clue because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, it doesn't sound logical, put it that way.
Right. Okay.
Until you hear the explanation, and then it makes sense. But for most people who are trying to lose weight, the last thing they expect to hear is that they need to eat more food.
Right.
Right? They're like, what? Really? Eat more food? Well, I thought that was contributing to the problem, but no. And then you're going to explain all this so that we're all on the same page, right?
Yeah, it depends on what you're eating.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? So if you fill up to slim down, you're not filling up on donuts and pastries and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we got to make that stipulation. You got to eat the right foods, more of the right foods.
Well, you don't have to cut out entire food groups either.
No, that's no bueno.
No, exactly. So there's a good quote. We all know the frustrating feeling of being locked out of a car. Without the right key, we're stuck, unable to move forward. Similarly, a parking lot's worth of nutrition research these days shows we're trying to lose weight and feel our best without the necessary keys, essential micronutrients and fiber. And as a result, we just can't drop those stubborn pounds. Mm-hmm. So it's all about eating whole foods, foods that look like they did in nature.
Yep.
And having that balanced approach. So that plate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So half the plate, vegetables and fruits, and a quarter protein, a quarter starch.
Yeah.
And what happens is a lot of things happen. You have to chew. And that actually makes you slow down when you're chewing, and you have to take your time when you're eating. Mm-hmm. So you're chewing that food to break it down so that, remember when we talked to Elizabeth Quinn recently about bone health, and she was talking about how our digestion, our GI tract is actually outside of our body.
Yeah, it's like a tube that runs through our body. So it's like a tunnel. Right. And the food has to leave the tunnel in order to get into your body. It was a really neat way of explaining it. Yeah. I like that. It made a lot of sense.
Yeah. So just because we eat something doesn't mean we're getting the nutrition from it. So when we're chewing it, it helps. Like when you slow down and you're mindful and you chew well, then like masticate it, then you're going to actually break it down, and then the enzymes do their work. And we actually have good digestion, and then we get the energy from the food and the micronutrients. And
yeah, your body absorbs it all the way it's designed to do.
Yeah, and with those vegetables and fruits, those whole foods, they have lower calorie density. So they have the plant structure that you're breaking down with your teeth and you're, chewing through them. Mm-hmm. They have more fiber. And the fiber slows the digestion to help you make you feel full longer. Right. They have the nutrition. So you're getting those, the vitamins and the minerals like the magnesium. Remember we're talking about how magnesium is one of those minerals that is widespread in the food from
Mother Earth?
Yeah. Like it's in vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, whole grains, meats, fish. But a lot of the food that we eat is processed and packaged. And once they process food, the magnesium gets stripped out. So we're not getting as much magnesium. And when we're eating a lot of these fast foods, ultra-processed foods, convenience foods, they can be like empty calories. Mm-hmm. So they're foods that aren't giving us a ton of nutrition. And if they don't have the fiber, it's not filling us up. Right. So if you think of like eating a donut or a Danish, it's got a high glycemic index. We eat it. our blood sugar spikes. We're not getting any protein from that. We're not getting any fiber. And it's a lot of empty calories.
Yeah,
so
true.
That all affects how you feel and how your body runs. And, we are what we eat.
Totally. Yeah. That's not just like a bumper sticker slogan. It's actual truth to that saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we don't get enough nutrients, our body sends signals to the brain to eat. And so then we might go and crave foods that aren't as nutritious, and we end up eating more of that. And then it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, as we know, we've done episodes on sleep and different problems that people have as they age, and women dealing with hormone changes like through perimenopause and menopause. So there might be brain fog and lack of sleep. And then also, as we talked to Elizabeth Quinn about bone mass, so you're thinking of like if you're someone who isn't getting a good sleep, and then you're feeling low and tired during the day, brain fog, you might grab, those sweet foods that help with feeling alert, keep you awake, but they're not giving your body the right fuel.
Right.
And so it's kind of a vicious cycle that way too. So there's those different menopause symptoms, because I do a lot of groups about this, can be intensified by low nutrients. So the shortfalls in the diet of at least like many different nutrients, vitamins and minerals, are linked to worse menopause symptoms like hot flushes and poor sleep and insomnia.
Crazy.
So, yeah. And so eating more food actually helps you lose weight, because there's also a hormone. Like when you eat, your stomach expands and releases a hormone that tells your brain to stop eating.
Okay. That's how you know you're full.
Yeah.
Because that hormone's released.
Exactly. And that increases your satiety. Like it actually stretches your stomach, right? And then that helps you, like it takes 20 minutes, right, for the signal from your gut to your brain.
Right.
And if you're eating really fast, or if you're eating on the run, if you're not thinking about what you're doing, like while you're eating, like not mindful, then you can, when you're sitting there watching a show and you've got your hand in the
Doritos bag.
Yeah, exactly. You look down and they're gone because you weren't even paying attention.
Yeah. You're just on autopilot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the same thing happens too. If you eat really fast, your brain hasn't registered that you're full. And then so you're going back for seconds when really you don't really need it. And I know that because that's what happens to me a lot. Often if I'm at a buffet or something, the food's just so good. And I just want to try everything. And I've probably had more than I need, but I'm still going back to try something else. And so, yeah, it can be dangerous.
So when we eat whole, minimally processed foods, it can increase our satiety because our digestion's slowed down because of the fiber.
Right.
And it helps with balancing the blood sugar because the fiber helps to slow the blood sugar rise.
Okay.
And also, a lot of the vegetables and fruits have higher water content. So that gives us the natural water, and it helps our desire to, it kind of blunts the cravings, especially if we're feeding ourselves regularly. Because that's a big problem. As we were talking about with Elizabeth Quinn about you got to just eat enough. Like that's the problem with so many women, especially. They're watching their calorie intake. They're trying to reduce what they're eating, and then they're not getting the right nutrition. And it can really affect the cravings and the kind of loss of control around sweets and other tempting foods.
Yeah, exactly. So
like, here's an example in terms of a not so great choice compared to a better choice.
Okay.
Like bagel, a white bagel. I'm not saying that right. Bagel. A white bagel with cream cheese.
Right.
So it's low in fiber.
Because it's white.
High in calories.
Yeah.
Because like cream cheese is like an added fat. There's hardly any protein in it.
Yeah.
Compared to oatmeal with nuts and seeds and berries.
Okay.
So that's higher in fiber. It's got way more diversity of plant foods. It's got a little bit of protein. It's got healthy fats. It's got more vitamins and minerals, antioxidants. It's more nutrient dense, but less calorie density.
Right. And you're looking at those as two sort of typical breakfast options, I think, right?
Yeah. Just for an example, as like how does eating more food actually help you lose weight?
Yeah. Yeah. And doesn't it affect your metabolism too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you just about to mention that?
Well, it's like the lock and the key, and we need all the micronutrients, the microminerals, the macronutrients to actually help our body run and operate efficiently. That affects our metabolism.
But doesn't maybe it's the other way around? If you don't eat enough, your metabolism slows down or something like that. I remember you explaining to me something about the metabolism, and then your body gets used to that, and then when you eat a regular amount of food, your body's not used to it, so you gain weight.
Oh, yeah, that's the yo-yo dieting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because, well, typically when you're on a restrictive eating plan, like a calorie restriction, a diet, so most diets end up, you lose weight because it's restriction of calories.
Right.
But then our body gets really efficient at like conserving energy, because prehistoric times, it was famine, right? It was feast or famine, but mostly famine. So our body had to get really good at storing fat because we might not have another meal for a long time. Now we're in a situation, an environment where there's food abundantly around us all the time. We have access to lots of food. And so it's the opposite. So what happens is when you're restricting calories, like you're on a diet, you might lose weight, but sometimes, a lot of times, that's not just fat you're losing, that's lean muscle.
Right. Exactly.
So when you're losing lean muscle, you're increasing your body fat percentage, because when you get off the diet, you will probably start eating normally again. You'll gain that weight back plus extra. So then you're actually increasing your body fat over time and losing muscle and making yourself weaker.
Yeah.
And it's not a good way to live, especially as you're advancing. Everybody's getting older, and over time, you're getting weaker and frailer. And when you're over 50 or 60, that's when problems can happen with your health and your bone mass, your skeleton, your, remember osteosarcopenia is the term that you're losing muscle and bone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what happens if you've been a chronic dieter for a lot of your adult life.
Yeah. Crazy
Women
stuff.
out there,
yeah,
mostly, but I mean, men do it too, but it's more, we see the effects, I think, in women more because of the way their body works and their metabolism, and they don't have the same amount of testosterone as men. So that all affects muscle too.
Wow. Crazy. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's really awesome information. If you like more great tips like that, check out our website. There's great blog articles on there, all sorts of different things from all sorts of different authors. We often get our guests to write us articles for the blog, so they've contributed to there. So there's a plethora of good information on the website. It's mywifethedietitian.com. You can send us an email while you're there too. Say hi, give us your questions, anything you want to know, anything you want us to answer, talk about on the show. We're more than happy to do that. It's mywifetherd@gmail.com. You can sign up for our newsletter while you're there too. This is a weekly newsletter. It's free to join. There's lots of great tips and information there. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Feel free to reach out to us there as well. Don't forget to rate and review the show. That's super helpful for us. Keeps things moving forward here. Also helps other people find the show. And you can also share it with friends. That's another way to help people find the show. Share with your friends, family, strangers, anybody you see walking down the street that looks like they'd like to listen to a nutrition podcast. Those people would love to hear from My Wife the Dietitian, I'm sure, right? Who doesn't? All right. Well, that is it for this week. We will be back next week with something fun and exciting. So in the meantime, have a great week, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on My Wife the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.